Tonight, a nearly 30-year-old cold case has been closed. Scottsdale detectives say a woman who had been on the run since causing a deadly crash back in 1994 had actually been dead for years and was living in Canada under a different name before she died. Now the brother of the woman who was killed is raising questions about how she was able to evade law enforcement even after she was arrested in Canada. 12 News journalist Jonathan McCall is live at Scottsdale Police headquarters tonight with how this 30-year-old cold case was finally solved. Jonathan?
Yeah, Mark, lots of dots to connect in this case. It was back in 1994 when Gloria Schultz caused that crash that killed Angela Marr here in Scottsdale in Old Town. She then fled to Canada, where authorities say she lived for decades, even being arrested in 2009 for another DUI. Tonight, Angela Marr's brother is trying to figure out how she was able to escape law enforcement in Canada.
For nearly 30 years.
My initial reaction, frankly, was disbelief. It's been so long.
Dan Marr has been waiting on one call that would lead to justice in his sister Angela's death. In July 1994, Angela was killed in a car crash near Old Town Scottsdale. Investigators say that Gloria Schultz was high and drunk at the time. Charged with manslaughter and endangerment, she fled before the case went to trial. In 2001, Schultz was convicted on those charges in absentia. For years, no one knew where she was.
Optimistic that they'll find someone that'll turn her in or help them close the case.
That's Angela's mom, Rosemarie, talking to 12 News about that case in 2018. She has since passed away.
And I think every day my mother agonized over the situation, and she was never, ever the same person after my sister died.
But now, after nearly 30 years, the case is closed. Detectives say in 2019, Schultz died from cancer while living in a remote part of Canada under the name Kate Dooley. Police say an anonymous call that Schultz's brother received gave them the tip they needed. But get this, in 2009, Schultz was arrested by the Royal Canadian Mounted Police for a DUI. Marr questions why nothing was done then.
You have to ask the question, why didn't the Canadian authorities say something to the American authorities?
Marr says it was tough knowing Schultz lived without being brought to justice for Angela's death.
On the other hand, she still lived. She lived. Might have been, a lesser existence than perhaps she otherwise would have had, but she still lived. She didn't spend a day in jail.
But it's a price he says she'll have to pay at some point.
And Jonathan, do we know why there was a lack of communication when Schultz was arrested and fingerprinted back in 2009 in Canada for a DUI?
That's a big question that we wanted to know as well, Caribe. We did reach out to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police today to get more specifics on their part of this investigation, on what they knew about Schultz at the time of that arrest, and whether or not they had any information about what was happening here in Arizona at the time. Again, that's a question we asked them, and we'll continue to stay in contact with them until we're able to get more details about it. But for now, we're live tonight in Scottsdale. Jonathan McCall, 12 News.
All right, Jonathan.